Mic check, check 1, 2. All right, we are good to go. And put an end to this first season of the XCLusive Pro Series. As the server has been reset, and we are going to go ahead and get into the server. There are indeed drops of rain. I'm letting the server kind of mellow out as I've just joined, as it takes a minute for the cars to stop driving a bit sideways on my screen, but eventually they will get that figured out. And we are going to just get a couple things tuned real quick on this overlay. Nice little overlay where we can see who is going to be in contention for this championship tonight. There we go, now we've got that back. Nope, some stuff does not want to work on that, but that's why I do a little bit of last minute testing. Then we do one of these right here, and good to go. All right. So now that that's figured out and we can swap back and forth nicely, now we can go with the, oh, hold on, I haven't even updated this one yet. Give me just a second. I know that still says that, don't worry about it. I'm fixing it. There we go. Much better. So here we are, short practice before the qualifying. Currently wet here at the Nordschleife as we are on board with Sievert in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo and a Telecom. Currently top of the leaderboard, but no one has completed a lap yet, so that really only means so much. But let's take a bit of a look at our championship standings. Make sure those slideshows are working. Sure hope they are. Yep, there they go. So Irish actually in the lead of this championship. 70 or 67 points the lead there. Actually, not 67, that's actually 47, so it's much closer. And a difference of a couple positions between those two would be enough for a shakeup there. And then between the two exclusive esports teams for P11, very, very close there. But Irish and Kai, well, I guess you could really say this championship win could go to one of really 4 or 5 different drivers. Irish, Kai, Andem, Aiden, and Nico Lausch, all within 100 points of each other. And it is 120 points to win tonight. And down to P10, it goes down by 3 points a time until you get down to about 93 points. So while it is going to be up close and technical, very tactical between the top 5 and the Drivers' Championship, it really could go anyone's way. And with the weather here, as I always say, rain the great equalizer, it really could be anyone's game tonight. You could say the same thing about the team standings as well. It's the two Schwitzer Motorsport teams, Schwitzer Motorsport 1 and Schwitzer Motorsport 2, that are actually separated by 9 points. So just a couple positions of the teammates swapped there, and that is a championship turned on its head. Then the exclusive esports 789 team, only about 62 points behind the leader. Very tight there as well when you consider the amount of points to be awarded. And then Turtle Team racing in the 4th place position, the 4th team to have over 1,000 points in the team standings. Still has a very, very good opportunity to try and get a good result tonight. Could have a possibility, if things go their way, of stealing this championship right here in the season finale. So we do currently have 19 drivers registered, and the Nordschleife is a bit of a daunting task, and you could say that a few of our drivers may not believe that they have the greatest chance of the championship tonight. Not fully within that fight, but I can guarantee you the teams that are in that fight, they are going to be out here swinging, bringing all of the might of the team that they can, and they'll all try to get out there and bring the best results for the team. Hopefully, a team championship. Again, those top 5 drivers in the driver standings. One bad incident, lap 1, it would not be the end of the race, but it would surely make things a lot harder and definitely have some championship implications. Through hit miss now with Telecom. Actually, no, we are heading up towards Bergwerk. We are actually just at XCLusive, and Telecom going to go ahead and park it. Did not like the lap. Sievert possibly with our first and possibly only flying lap. across the line. 8:47.6. Marshall 88 also brought a lap. I believe that was an 8:56 or 8:47 for Sievert and 8:56 for Marshall 88, I believe. And we will check on, we do have the number 311 of Uncleaner Cross. And that's actually going to bring it into the qualifying. But we are, or the end of free practice, we're getting thrown right into qualifying, and Alex MG in the Aston Martin wants to get out there first. A bit awkward at the qualifying here, as you do have the Joker at the final turn, the final hairpin of the GP circuit. The track a bit damp, and I think this is going to cause a very big wrench in the strategy. You see rain coming in 30 minutes. You don't know if there's rain coming in 11 minutes or 12 minutes, 13 minutes, all the way up to that 30 minutes. But you know that it is going to be raining a pretty good bit in 30 minutes. Do you go out on slick tires and hope that you will be able to get one lap, or at least most of one lap, in with a damp or greasy track? And are slick tires on a greasy track going to be faster than wets on a progressively wet track? Again, we don't know if we'll even get a bit of that rain that it says is going to be coming in 30 minutes into Bielstein for, or actually this Ravenel, then to Bielstein for Alex MG. And there is a bit of sun out. We could see this track start to dry. The track right now not in a very good condition, especially for qualifying. And Alex MG actually letting the teammate of Nico Lausch go on ahead. Does have Sievert and the Lamborghini right behind. But now they will take the Joker lap, bring it around, and start their flying laps. Sievert going straight through those cones. Across the line, Nico Lausch will start the first flying lap of this qualifying session. There's not going to be many laps, only 2 or 3 laps maximum. So it is going to be about 8 minutes a lap. You do have time to go out, do the Joker, which does take you about 2.5 minutes to get out of the pit lane, do the Joker, warm the tires up, come back around to the start-finish line. And then that gives you about 8 minutes. So say you're right around 11 minutes for one full qualifying procedure. And this is only a 15-minute qualifying, but there is a 4-minute buffer there, which does mean that you can come back into the pit lane, put new fresh tires and fuel, go out, do the Joker, turn back around, and start another lap with about a minute or so left on the clock, and you'd be able to at least get the lap started. And from that point on, you should be able to finish. Would be interested to know what kind of tires the drivers are on. And Telecom, still yet to come out of the pit lane, is still in the pit lane. And Nico Lausch coming through the chicane will, for the first time, bring us out, taking a left-hander, and bring us on to the Nordschleife down through Sabine Schmidt's curve. Diving left-hander with a bit of camber. Sievert, I think, actually dove out of the way between the two teammates, as Nico Lausch will lead the teammate of Alex MG to Hatson back for the first time. There is a bit of tree cover here, so not going to dry quite as much. The track's still saying damp. I do not know exactly which tires would be the optimum tire to be on, but there is still the opportunity for the track to go to a bit of a greasier condition. Not necessarily wet, and I surely don't see any spray, but the track does seem to at least be somewhat wet, as you can see the reflection of the headlights. And there the official announcement actually comes: slick tires optimum So Nico Lausch actually just went out on wets and I believe is going to give up a lap, is now going to be in one-shot territory. Would be very, very close to the margin for Nico Lausch to try and get back out there on another lap. I wonder if Alex MG is on those slick tires or is just on some wets that are going to be very warm by the time he gets back to the start-finish line. And while Alex MG would love to be in that championship fight, currently sitting P21, is not going to really be having much of a chance tonight. But the teammate that just came into the pit lane of Nico Lausch is in 5th place. And with a bit of luck, could be within a shout of getting onto that podium in the championship, or possibly even the championship win. Slide out of, I believe that was a slide out of Metzigesfeld. Now down through the chicane before hit miss. And then down into Versifen. Absolutely amazing shot there. And still trying to fight for grip. But as long as Alex MG brings this lap nicely and keeps it valid, this will be the first flying lap of qualifying and set the pace for the rest of the field. And we'll take a look at the standings once again. Remember, Irish currently in the lead of the championship by 47 points. It's close, but not too close. Won't really need to worry about it too much. And I think a few of our drivers actually playing the waiting game, going out at the very last moment to make this a one-shot qualifying and be less at risk of running your 1 or possibly 2 qualifying laps on a less optimal track. Also allow a few drivers to get out there, lay some rubber down, bring some temperature to the track. But we did get the call for slick tires being the preferred tire choice, as the track has actually now gone away from damp and has now been designated as greasy. But Irish in the lead, 680 points. And then we will take a quick look. Where is Kai? Kai, are you racing tonight? Yes, you are. You are just ahead. Separate Schwitzer Motorsport team. Remember, these Schwitzer Motorsport teams are also fighting for the championship win. And Kai and Lucas, the two Schwitzer Motorsport 2 drivers, very much be looking for a good result tonight. Hopefully a better result than the two teammates in Schwitzer Motorsport 1, as it's a very, very tight fight between the two teams. And team number 2 would absolutely love to take that championship win away from team number 1. But Kai, second place in the Pro Series standings, 47 points behind Irish. Then we will take a look at Andom, if Andom is here. Yes, Andom is still in the pit lane, though, yet to come out, but currently P3 in the championship, 626 points. Only about 7 points behind Kai. And then Aiden, 66, who is in a McLaren, and I believe is not active tonight. So if Aiden, 66, is not going to be participating, then they are not going to have a chance at that championship. And that would at least give Nico Lausch a bit of a buffer to improve. Telecom now finally out of the pit lane. The 999 of Alex MG about to get on to the Dottinger. And the home stretch for the Aston Martin will have enough time and I think rain is going to start right around the end of the qualifying session, right around when the clock would hit 0. But Alex MG, as long as it's clean from here to the end, and as long as the lap has been clean, which very easy to invalidate the lap coming into the Tiergarten Hohenrain section. But back onto the GP Strecke at 8:38.5 and 9.7. It's nowhere near the times that we would have seen these drivers run in optimum conditions. Those times would likely be around the 8.10s and the 8.0s. But Alex MG sets the pace for the field and is going out for another lap. Immediately going to try one more. And Chris, I am doing great tonight. It's nice and rainy outside, just like it is here at the Nordschleife. And I am just having a good day. About to clock another season of commentating under my belt. First full season with XCL, but hopefully one of many more. Maybe I could come back for the continuation of the Pro Series, if that is if that's possibly wink wink going to be a possibility, maybe sometime early next year. But that's just completely hypothetical. Do not take my word for it, but there is the full possibility of a Season 2 of the XCLusive Pro Series sometime early Q1 of 2025. Again, do not quote me on that. That is purely hypothetical. Lucas goes slightly faster than the Aston Martin of Alex MG, and Tesaurus in the Ferrari 296 with Turtle Team Racing goes third fastest. El Bambino goes fourth fastest. The 42 of Nat JB. Nat JB, I believe, has not won a race this season, was very, very close to winning a race at Laguna Seca. Is Nat going to be able to finally bring home the victory, first victory in this series? Tonight, it's good enough for P2, only 1.6 tenths off of the time set by Lucas. And even with the suboptimal conditions, our top three separated by just over 0.3 of a second. Is currently Lucas on pole. And Lucas, driver who did the full 24 hours the last time that I commentated for XCL here in the 24-hour event just a few months ago. I believe Alex MG came into the pit lane, possibly came into the pit lane to put new tires on or invalidated on the GP circuit, but is going to be going for another lap. Doesn't need much time to improve, and there's plenty of time to find that minuscule amount of time on this very, very long Nordschleife circuit, but also much easier to lose more time or possibly completely lose the lap trying to push a bit too hard. Into Tiergarten for Kai. looking for pole position, looking for good points, at least starting points for the Schwitzer Motorsport team. Needs a good result. Lucas able to put it on pole. Is Kai going to join the teammate? Yes, by 5.7 seconds. Those times are dropping, and the times are going to drop as long as the track is drying. We have had more cloud cover, and there is rain incoming. The clock has hit 0. Kai is going to get another chance at a lap. And still over half the grid yet to qualify. Radioactive coming into the pit lane. The lap was invalid. Ritzenflitze in the pit lane. Patro in the pit lane. Nico Lausch in the pit lane. Put it on pole at 8:29.2. Will not be able to improve though. Irish has a goal as Irish went faster than the Schwitzer Motorsport Team 2 teammate. And what is going on here? Is this Marshall 88 who is going to be receiving slipstream assistance from the teammate of Uncleaner Cross just ahead? No, there's not going to be any slipstream there. They're going to be side by side. No one's going to be helping the other. Marshall 88 will now slot in ahead, and then Uncleaner will get into the slipstream behind. Is there going to be a bit of bump drafting between these two? They come into Tiergarten. Uncleaner definitely gets, I'd say, a bit of an advantage, but he had the poor exit of the final corner before the Dottinger. They come up Tiergarten. Alex MG in the pit lane will not improve. The two XCL McLarens across the line. What's it going to be for the both of them? Marshall 88 goes P5. Uncleaner goes P6. They were neck and neck on that lap. It would only make sense for their times to be neck and neck in position, so P5 and P6 for the time being for those two. We do have Karpachev in the Thracer BMW now making his way onto the Dottinger. All by himself though, does not have any help. And what do we have here? It's Fazzy Binks ahead of Telecom. Is this a bit more exclusive esports team work? Teamwork and the team working. Telecom gets a poor exit of the Kleine carousel though. The 155 of Karpachev into Hohenrain. Gets it slowed down enough onto the outside or onto the inside curbing, flat curbing there. Onto the GP Strecca. What's it going to be when he crosses the line? Currently P17 is good enough for P1. 828.832 drops Nico Lausch down to P2. 0.373 the delta between those two times, and Karpachev puts a BMW on the front row, at least for now. Telecom is coming. Fazzy Binks is ahead, and the rain has started. This track is very, very quickly going to deteriorate, and those drivers who are out on track that have not set a lap, likely out there on slick tires, and the rain has begun, and it is very quickly going to devolve. Telecom goes fastest, knocking Karpachev off an 823.912. Sievert goes P2 right behind. Fazzy Binks went P6. How is this going to affect those drivers currently still out on track trying to bring a lap, either trying to get their first lap in? It's Radioactive, actually only one of those drivers still out there that has not completed a lap yet and is still trying to, as Thrawn McCooney currently at Flonsgarten. track is not going to be getting any better. It's at least a light rain for now. And will Lucas be able to find improvement? This is going to be a bit of a tricky braking zone into Hohenrain as the track has now gone damp. Very shortly, we would have race control saying that it is going to be a bit damp there. And next across the line, the Ferrari, which Ferrari was that? That was the Ferrari of Thesaurus, goes P9. And who is next? The number 777 of El Bambino. Into Hohenrain again. The track is getting worse, so pole position likely not going to be on the books, and I think a bit of understeer from that moisture into Hohenrain. El Bambino across the line, 32 seconds off the pace right now. It's likely going to be an improvement here. Takes away 16 seconds from that time, but stays in the same position. Thrawn McCooney onto the GP Strecke. What will it be for Thrawn? It's good enough for P8, up 10 positions for Thrawn on their one and only flying lap. Nat JB onto the GP Strecke as there is now spray. It's starting to rain a good bit. Is Nat JB going to find some time and improve? What's it going to be? It's good enough for P9, just behind the Mustang of Thrawn McCooney. Kai still out there with Irish, the two Schwitzer Motorsport drivers, as Kai is going to invalidate there. That's going to be Kai's qualifying over. Irish will sail on by. And it is definitely looking to be a bit wet out there as Irish invalidates and into the barriers in dramatic fashion. That is going to be an end to our qualifying. It's Telecom on pole. Let's look at the results. Telecom with Exclusive Esports number 792 on pole. Sievert with Schwitzer Motorsport 4 in P2. Lucas with Schwitzer Motorsport 2, P3. Karpachev with Thracer P4. Nico Laus GRL Motorsport P5. Irish Schwitzer Motorsport 1, P6. Fazzy Binks Exclusive Esports 790 P7. Thrawn McCooney Schwitzer Motorsport 3, P8. Nat JB Turtle Team Racing P9. Kai Schwitzer Motorsport 2, P10. Thesaurus Turtle Team Racing P11. Patro XCL Racing P12, Marshall 88, Exclusive Esports number 789, P13, Uncleaner Cross Exclusive Esports number 788, P14, Alex MG Giro Motorsport P15, El Bambino, Schwitzer Motorsport 3, P16, Ritz and Flitza, Schwitzer Motorsport 1, P17, Radioactive, Exclusive Esports 788, P18, and Andom NLR Esports P20. Andom making, I believe, a late entry or just not going out for a lap. But it's Telecom on pole. We'll take a very short break just to keep ads away so they don't pop up during the race, and we will be right back. Thank you for the follow, LSX. Yeah, it's probably not doing it. It's okay. I just want to keep it from doing that stuff during the stream, but I don't think that it will. I'm just trying to do things because I can't turn off the ads and commercials and things. But what I can do is make it to where they don't show up for new people who join in. But some people may get them, some people may not. So you just may be in an area where you are not getting them. Again, before we get started, as we are going to start on a damp track, but before we get started, a quick look at our standings and how this qualifying is going to affect the championship. So with Telecom on pole, Telecom currently P6, that is taking crucial points away from Nico Lausch, Irish, where is Irish? In P6. Irish, your current championship leader in P6. Kai, who is P2 in the championship, currently P10. Andom, currently P20, likely wanting to avoid any chaos. Andom is P4. Aiden, 66, not able to participate tonight. And Nico Lausch, who is currently P5 in the championship, will be starting P5. There we go. And we are about to get started rolling for the formation lap. We're about to get started with the final round of the XCLusive Esports, or the XCLusive Pro Series. The first season, there's a possibility of having another season in the works. We got to get through this one first. 90 minutes here at the Nordschleife. And as of right now, the track is damp, having just rained, but there is a bit of dry conditions as we've got about 30 minutes of dry before we are going to be into no man's land. We will see if we do get some rain periodically throughout this race. Obviously, we do have decent possibility of those wet conditions, but onto the GP Strecke out of Hohenrain is Telecom, who is going to be set up to the outside with Sievert in the Lamborghini to the inside. Championship implications abound. We're about to take the green flag, and who is starting in the pit lane? It's El Bambino in the pit lane. They will approach line. We will take the green flag. Green, green, green. We are racing for the final time here in the first season of the XCLusive Pro Series. And Telecom quickly going defensive into turn one. Sievert in the Lamborghini trying to slot in behind. And very, very aggressive. The 28 Mercedes of Lucas wanted to get by in those positions early, and it has now locked in ahead of the Lamborghini of Sievert. Need to be very careful in these early hours of this race, the early running. Tires are cold, the track is damp. It's going to be very slippery out there. Thracer actually being caught out, and what has happened here? Okay, that's El Bambino who started in the pit lane. Telecom leading, doing exactly what he wanted to do. Get out front, stay out front. And very quickly, slick tires, the preferred tire. Hopefully everybody went out on slicks, started the race on slicks. The track is still going to be a little bit slippery, but the track, at least for the time being, will be drying. But those painted tarmac sections and the curbs, definitely going to be a bit of a monster to deal with, as they stay wet for a lot longer than the pavement will be. You can tell they are wet when the lights come across them. You can see how shiny they are. Thrawn McCooney looking for a move on Nat JB, who has actually gone past him. Telecom still out front, and what has happened to Lucas? Sorry, I'm still awaiting the timing boards to update. Lucas is actually pulling away from the Lamborghini of Sievert, and Lucas trying to catch the Ferrari of Telecom. Lucas, I believe, has not won a race this season. I don't know if Lucas has been on the podium. But as of right now, Lucas looking very, very strong here at the Nordschleife. He raced it for 24 hours in one sitting, so I'd hope that he likes it. Down behind the Ferrari of Nat JB, and I think it's a very, very poor run out of fluid plots. And who is that wanting to go right on by this? Number 23 of Kai overtaking, and Tesaurus wanting to get into that fight as well. Nico Lausch and Sievert fighting out of Arenberg as we finally get the timing board updates for the first time. Nico Lausch fully within the slipstream of the Lamborghini as they run towards Adnar Forst, and Nico almost pushing the Lamborghini up the hill. That Aston Martin definitely wanted to get past the Lamborghini as we come through the chicane of Adnar Forst for the first time. And the 777 of El Bambino still trying to catch up to the pack. On most tracks, it's very easy to catch up to the main pack, but with a smaller quantity of drivers on track and a bit more open of a track, it's going to be a bit harder to chase down the pack, especially as they will likely spread out a lot more than you would usually see. Alex MG, the GRO Motorsport teammate, trying to catch. Oh, as Alex MG nearly has a brush with death there. Coming through miss, hit, miss. Now down into Versiphen. Lives another day, but that was 4 tires completely off the track and onto the grass for the GRL Motorsport Aston Martin teammate. Telecom has now gone off and done his own thing in the distance, as now Lucas and the Mercedes is going to be under attack from Sievert and Nico Lausch as they are both bearing down behind. And the track's still improving. Nico Lausch within the slipstream of the Lamborghini of Sievert. As they run towards Mutt Curve, it gets very, very tight. You've got to have some massive things that sit below the seatbelt if you would like to go for a move at Mutt Curve. Trying to find a bit of a nice word to use. You understand what I mean there. Mutt Curve, very, very tight, very fast left-hand kink. My personal least favorite corner on the entire circuit. But now we come out of the carousel for the first time and we get onto the meat and potatoes of what makes the Nordschleife such a daunting track. Up into Hoyacht. Let's go on board with the Aston Martin of Nico Lausch out of Hoyacht. Now we run towards Wipperman. The 2 Schwitzer Motorsport, the Lamborghini and Mercedes up ahead through Wipperman. Use those flat curves to your advantage. Nico Lausch definitely carrying some speed, but just can't really find a way past, and that's one of the kickers of the Nordschleife. It's so narrow, those walls on either side. If you're going to go for a move, you've really got to commit to it. And if you're going to commit to it, you've really got to have some conviction that it's going to work. Otherwise, you put yourself and the driver that you're trying to overtake in a great deal of danger. Nico Lausch seeming to be quicker than the Lamborghini and Mercedes up ahead, but again, just nowhere to get past. Now down into the jump of Flanskart. I think Nico definitely got some air there. Now we run down through the S's towards Schwabenstrans. Nico getting a bit unsettled on the curves as we come through Schwabenstrans now. The S's now up the hill into Schwabenstrans before the Kleine Carousel. Nico Lausch in a very, very good position here. When they come onto the Dottinger, will be within that slipstream range. Getting choked up as Sievert and Lucas running very close to each other. As long as Nico can hold on to the slipstream of these two up ahead. Sievert not getting quite as good of a run out of the final corner, leading us onto the Dottinger. But now Nico will be within that slipstream. And we will watch Nico reel in the Lamborghini, who will likely try and hold the inside at Tiergarten. But we are going to be, hello Irish, I didn't even know you were there. We're looking on board with the Aston Martin of Nico, and Irish, and the Mustang goes right on by. 4 cars all within, I don't know, you could throw a BMW M6 over the lot of them. There's not much room there. And Irish finds a way past all of them. I didn't know that there was 4 cars there as we come out of the onboard, and Irish wanting to get this championship locked down. Nico will try up the inside of Lucas at turn 1. He will get the position from the Lamborghini of Sievert. But Irish just completely coming up out of the blind spot. All of a sudden, there he is, getting the triple overtake down the Dottinger. And yeah, the GRO Motorsport Aston Martin was in a bit of a Schwitzer Motorsport party, and that Aston Martin definitely was not invited. Some serious cloud cover over the track now, as it's not going to be drying very quickly. Let's take a look at this fight up here. The 2 Ferraris of Tesauris and Patro. Patro has actually gotten an overtake. And now they come into Ravenel Curve. Patro leading Tesauris, as Alex MG made his way past this group. No, has actually dropped down. The 2 McLarens, the 2 XCL McLarens of Marshall 88 and Radioactive made their way past the GRO Motorsport number 999 Aston Martin. And now Nico Lausch has a little bit less work to do, as he is seemingly opening a gap to the Lamborghini of Sievert behind. But still anyone's race, as we have just completed the first lap. And Irish, now the man on a mission. Don't believe that Irish has to catch Telecom, as Telecom is in 6th place in the standings. And Irish would have the championship covered off. And there's going to be a touch of rain coming in about 10 minutes. It does seem to be a light shower. Don't know exactly how long it'll last, but it won't last any longer than 30 minutes. But we are now going to maybe start to see that variable weather. We have seen if it gets restrained to light showers, as Nico Lausch definitely in a Schwitzer Motorsport sandwich as they come through Schwedenkreuz down to Arenberg. Nico Lausch unable to really shake the Lamborghini behind, who is able to stay within that slipstream range and cruise right up onto the rear. Does Nico Lausch has the attachments below the seatbelt to go for this move into Adnar Forst? Did not go for it at the uphill kink. Will Nico be able to set up a better run out of the chicane? The Lamborghini seems to rotate a bit better through the chicane and is again right up onto the rear of Nico Lausch in the Aston Martin. Lucas gets a touch of the curb that unsettles the car slightly, but still nowhere for Nico to go. And it's 1, 2, 3 with a couple stragglers who are wanting to get into this fight as well. Nat JB and Fazzy Binks pulling up behind. And it could get very crowded here. Couldn't get any more crowded than that 4-car run down the Dottinger on the previous lap, where Irish pulled the mystery overtake of "Hello, I'm here. I'd like 3 positions. Thank you." Down in the bright side, Nico still trying to work a way around the Mercedes. Another opportunity comes down the long straight, as I don't know if Nico maybe got a touch there or just a bit of an overstep of the rear. They're going to be not quite side by side in the berg work, but Nico not going to go for it. Later braking than the Lamborghini, and it is starting to get tight. The 2 Schwitzer Motorsport teammates, technically not teammates, but they both drive for Schwitzer Motorsport, both have the same colors on the car. They were side by side out of berg work for just a moment, but Nico Lausch, once again, right behind these two, the exact same position that he was in on the previous lap when we last came through this sector. They all give a bit of a lift coming through Mutt Curve. And we've got a large crew of cars joining in behind. It's Lucas, then Sievert, then Nico Lausch, then Nat JB, then Fazzy Binks, then Kai. All 6 of these. And the longer this lasts, Thrawn McCooney just behind Kai may also get into this. Lucas makes a mistake coming out of the carousel. Is Sievert going to be able to take advantage? They're side by side. Sievert backs out of it, not going to go for it there. Nico Lausch behind, still trying to find the opening that never seems to show. And Nico, bit of a slide of the rear. And that Aston Martin seems to be getting a lot more twitchy, a lot more hard to drive. Now through Vipperman. So Lucas and Sievert, one behind the other. Nico Lausch still running right behind. Go, 2 tires in the sand. They were just there for a moment, not going to be enough to really affect the speed of the car. And the situation up ahead, Irish was 8.4 seconds to the leading Ferrari of Telecom, but now the gap has grown 3 seconds to 11.5. Into Schwalbenschwanz. The sextet comes in as it's 6 cars who are all really going to be within slipstream range of each other. We may have had our first incident. Ritzenflitze, I believe, has gone into the wall. Slight damage on the front of that BMW, but nothing that is race ending. Right now it's a quintet about to become a sextet as they're trying to catch up to the triplet up ahead. Sievert well into the slipstream of Lucas. Is Sievert going to push Lucas down the straight? I believe, yes he is. Does not want Nico to try and get that overtake. Then Sievert pulls alongside. I think Sievert may try to go for this overtake. Nico Lausch wants to follow the faster car, wants to have the inside as they're 3 wide, nearly behind. 2 separate battles of 3 cars fighting for position. Nat JB and Fazzy Binks side by side into Tiergarten. as they all come into Hohenrain. I think everybody makes it through alive. And this is the XCLusive Pro Series, ladies and gentlemen. You've got 6, 7 cars all racing very, very close together. This long of a track with suboptimal conditions. Again, this is not prime conditions, this is suboptimal conditions. And they're racing like it's a sunny day. Nico Lausch gets a move on the Lamborghini of Sievert done. Once again, still trying to find a way past the Mercedes of Lucas. Should Nico Lausch get past the Mercedes of Lucas, likely Nico going to be able to roam free and maybe run away a bit with clean air up ahead. Irish seeming to drop back a bit, unable to catch the Ferrari of Telecom. Nico going for it here, tries to set up around the outside of Ravenel. That will give him the inside at Bielstein, but goes all the way out to the painted tarmac at the exit, or at the exit of Ravenel. Gets the move done, bunches up the field behind, but is now going to be a sitting duck down the straight as they come through the Advan kink. Is Lucas going to try and get alongside of the chicane? Had a look, but ultimately didn't take it. Now back onto the Nordschleife to start our third lap. As we are only 3 laps in, this is the type of racing that we have. Kai and Thrawn McCooney are right at the tail end of this pack, and in those Mustangs, they're going to have a top speed advantage over every single car that is up ahead of them. They're not going to be the best handling, so they will have to do a bit of work to try and keep up through the corners. But the Mustang has proven to be a very formidable machine here at the Nordschleife. Just behind Patro, 2 tires on the out into the grass, kicked up a bit of dirt. The track is fully dry. Fight here between the Mercedes and Lamborghini. And now who is this behind? Fazzy Binks in the Ferrari wants to get past. Not going to happen though. Nico Lausch, as I predicted, is starting to pull away ahead as the rain has started, but it's going to be a quick shower. It might make things a bit interesting, but it's not going to cause anybody to come into the pit lane. But it will make braking distances a bit longer. Maybe turn the traction control up a tick or 2. Now a bit of a gap has started to develop, as these 2 Schwitzer drivers don't have to contend with the Aston Martin of Nico Lausch. I think the 2 of them able to calm down a bit and start to get some head down driving in. But maybe the rain has caused everybody to maybe back off a bit. Wipers have gone on. Go with a quick onboard with the Lamborghini of Sievert. the slipstream of the Mercedes up ahead. Trying to catch within the slipstream, but again, Muck Curve, a very, very difficult corner to try and overtake on. And Sievert, you can hear the lift just wanting to stay behind and through Muck Curve. Touch of the brakes for the two of them, downshift from Sievert. They stay about the same running to each other as they come into Kallenhard, or actually this is Klostertal. Kallenhard is up in the, it's actually just before that, what is that? 1, 2, 3. It's technically within the second sector, as we are still within the second sector here, but Kallenhard just after Adnar Forst. It is Adnar Forst, Metzigesfeld, and then Kallenhard. Karpachev down quite a few positions. Qualified, I believe, P2. Qualified high, but it's just been dropping down the order in terms of that race pace. And as well, currently P16 as well within the pack. Very, very quick driver, but has just been biding his time and keeping things safe, likely hoping to capitalize on any mistakes made by drivers up ahead. And you can have the top tier of talent anywhere you want, but that does not mean that mistakes will not happen. If anything, mistakes more likely to happen when you have that upper echelon, because they are going to be absolutely on the limit, trying to find every single little bit of pace they can find. And that does mean driving on the limit, and to be on the limit, you have to first find the limit. And to find the limit, you've got to step over it. These pro drivers surely have plenty of experience in that regard. Now we have a good bit of spray. Everyone, remember, still should be on slick tires. So it is going to make things a bit more treacherous. And this rain shower will continue for just a few more minutes, as we are just approaching a third of the race done. We should get about 10 or 11 laps in. The two Schwitzer Motorsport drivers side by side into Tiergarten, as Sievert finally going to get it done. Slots in ahead. We'll see if he'll be able to hold on to it, though. Fazzy Binks and the Ferrari also quickly coming into the picture as well. Is going to go for the late braking overtake. No, slots around to the outside. Made this move work earlier. Goes the long way around, tries to get the nose up the inside at turn 2, but does not work this time. And who has come into the pit lane? Tesaurus with big damage comes into the pit lane. It's going to be our first pit stop, and has a good bit of damage to repair. It's going to be a stop for a few seconds. We'll see if Tesaurus is just going to put as much fuel in it as possible. Fresh set of tires on and try to run it from here to the end. For that strategy to work, you'd have to have no more rain at all. Because if you'd have to come in and put wet tires on, well, then you'd be completely throwing that strategy away. Telecom out on a comfortable weekend cruise in the lead, 20 seconds ahead of the currently P2 and championship leading number 4 Ford Mustang Dark Horse GT3 of Irish with Switzer Motorsport team number 1. And Irish looking for the double today. First of all, wants to win the race. Second of all, if the standings were locked in from right here on, remember, all positions, all results are unofficial until the XCL staff, the XCL stewarding committee gets through with all penalties and things that should be applied. As that does take, I believe, 48 hours for all those to go through. Albeit if your race winner typically not going to be involved in incidents such as those, so should be able to declare a winner. But Irish not only going for the win tonight in the final round of this championship, but is also in prime position. Should the race be locked in now, Irish would be in the lead and would take home the championship. Would not be taking home the trophy tonight, but would be taking home the big trophy for the championship. And as well, I believe, would be taking home the team championship for Switzer Motorsport number 1. That also is very much determined by the finishing positions of the Switzer Motorsport number 2 drivers, as there is a 9-point separation between those two teams, and currently Ritzenflitze, teammate to Irish, is down in P17, while the two Switzer Motorsport number 2 teammates are currently P5 and P8, and I believe that would be the points difference needed there. But again, all results are unofficial until all points are tallied, drop rounds calculated, and penalties applied, should they need to be done so. But Clorpt, if you could, when the time comes around, and likely before the race is over, you would be able to start to calculate those things. If you would be able to give me an answer of drop rounds and things like that before we get to the end. If you would like me to announce the championship winners in both drivers and team championships on stream. Nico Lausch has definitely pulled away up ahead. Still some spots with a bit of moisture, as we still see some spray on the coming from the tires of the Aston Martin of Nico Lausch, but it's only in a few certain spots on track. Eventually that spray does go away, but you can pick it up in certain parts as well. Definitely at the bottom of those corners, such as Berg Work, the Dunlop hairpin on the GP circuit, the carousels, those low points, you will have some ponding there that will last quite a while. Lucas and Sievert still locked in battle, as they are not going to allow one another the opportunity to drive off into the distance and secure the position. also thank you to those who have tuned in on YouTube. If you are new to Retrovex Broadcasting, I would greatly appreciate it if you would if you'd throw me a follow. Seifert actually pulling away up ahead with that 4th place position, leaving Lucas to the theoretical dogs of Nat JB and Fazzy Binks and the Ferraris, who are very eager to make up a few positions. And Lucas not in contention for the Drivers' Championship, but very much in contention for the Team Championship, and needs to try and bring as good of a result as possible for the team. So likely not going to be very keen on giving up those positions to the 2 Ferraris behind. What has happened? Nico Lausch backwards at the S's, was in P3, and with damage gets it refired, has it in reverse, but has to wait for the pack to come through. And extremely unfortunate for Nico Lausch, still sitting on track. The Mercedes, or not Mercedes, a McLaren, sorry, I think that was Marshall 88, narrowly made it through. But very unfortunate for Nico Lausch, losing a ton of time. Was out on his own, but that car did look very, very squirrely, and it's got suspension damage for sure, as it is not wanting to drive straight at all. And that is going to be an unfortunate entry into the pit lane for Nico Lausch, an early entry. And that puts Seifert and everyone who's just in that shot there up a position. As Seifert has now found himself back on the podium. Nico Lausch, very quick driver, but the Aston Martin just not so happy with the variable conditions. When Nico Lausch was racing with Seifert and Lucas, we did see the back end of that Aston Martin step out quite a bit, and where Nico did lose the car there, it was in as likely of a place to lose control as possible down through the S's into Schwabenschwanz. It is very, very tricky, especially with damp and wet conditions. As Nico Lausch will come into the pit lane, Karpachev also coming into the pit lane. Karpachev with some damage on the front of that BMW, but not a ton. This might be our first scheduled pit stop. I wouldn't see any reason that Karpachev would repair that BMW, as it would just be adding pretty much unnecessary time. But Telecom out front on his own. The gap has dropped a bit though, was 20 seconds, now 15. To the number 4 Mustang of Irish, and Irish a very, very, very quick driver. 15 seconds, you might say, oh, that's quite a bit. They can't even see each other. You can definitely hear each other, as the number 4 Mustang we hear coming out of the chicane on the GP circuit. But one little incident like we just saw with Nico Lausch, and Irish is well into the lead of this race. That's what Telecom knows. Telecom not going to be pushing to the absolute limit, but knows that he's still got to push at least a little bit to hold on to the lead. We will just continue to watch the Delta. Has taken a bit of time, and a few of our drivers are starting to spread out a bit. But we've still got quite the fight from the Mercedes of Lucas. I'd say now all the way back to the McLaren of Radioactive. It's only a couple seconds between all of these drivers, and Alex MG just in the background as well. GRL Motorsport team all season has done an exceptional job with qualifying, always able to qualify well, but it seems to be that during the race things just never quite go their way. But we hope to see those two Aston Martin drivers very, very quick. Hope to see them back. In the hypothetical, possibly not possible, possibly happening Season 2 of the Exclusive Pro Series, as Alex MG with a major slide through Schwedenkreuz, just drifting the car through there. I need to go on board and see if we can hear any Eurobeat in the driver's seat of that Aston Martin Vantage GT3. Now we are well into the meat and potatoes of the race. Over a third of the way through, approaching the halfway point of this 90-minute season finale here at the Nordschleife. Still anyone's race. Irish in a very, very good position to take home the championship. The sun is starting to peek through the clouds. That is very much going to aid the track in developing in the net positive, as that would let the track start to get a bit dry. One thing about greasy and damp conditions is that it keeps your tires cool. And cool, slick tires last a lot longer than warm, slick tires. They don't have anywhere nearly as much grip, but when you do slide, they're not really going to develop as much temperature. They're not going to be laying down as much rubber on track, and they're not going to be as sticky, so again, they're not going to be laying down as much rubber on track. So we could see some long stints, hour stints all the way into the very end. Another thing, we do have this variable weather, and at least from the 30 minutes into the future that we can see, we started out damp. We had one quick 5-minute shower. You can't see that last 20 minutes, but as of right now, until 20 minutes left, and if you continue to look into the top right-hand corner of the screen, you will see the weather forecast. 10 minutes partly cloudy, the next 30 minutes partly cloudy. There is still the possibility of rain at the very end, but I think maybe at that point, there's only maybe 15 minutes left, only 2 laps, you might as well stay out on those slick tires and bring it home, as the time gained or the time lost in the pit lane likely wouldn't really outweigh the time, or it wouldn't outpace the time gained if you decided to put on wet tires with wet track at the very end. But at least for the time being, as what it seems to look like right now, we will be possibly with optimum conditions at the very end of the race, as we would be having optimum running for the first time this full race weekend between free practice, qualifying, and the race. We have not had a truly dry and quick track. It's always been either slightly damp or a green track. Currently on board with our closest battle between Lucas in the Mercedes and Nat JB in the Turtle Team Ferrari. Currently 4 drivers that have completed their pit stops: Karpachev, Nico, Lau, Jean-Cleaner, Cross, and Tesouris. Nobody is down a lap on those pit stops, but they are spread out quite a ways back through the track, and hopefully those drivers who have come into the pit lane should not have to come back in for any reason whatsoever, and hopefully they've also got the setup and enough fuel to last to the end of the race. Well, they are Turtle Team Racing, so I would say that they do quite look like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that JB, not looking too good for a first win this season, but nearly got one at Laguna Seca. Could at least have an opportunity at getting on to the podium. That JB within slipstream range of the Mercedes. Is he going to be able to get past, though? And there's your Schwitzer Motorsport picture right there. The two kind of teammates, kind of not teammates. Schwitzer Motorsport Mustangs running side by side, completely avoiding all of the dry track in the middle there. That JB did get the position locked down, moves up into P4, takes that position away from Lucas. And things are getting slightly clearer for the Schwitzer Motorsport #1 team, who are looking to take home the team championship, but they have to outscore by 9 points the Schwitzer Motorsport #2 team. Radioactive and Marshall 88, the two exclusive esports McLarens coming into, or two of the three exclusive esports McLarens coming into the pit lane, likely to gamble on getting their stops out of the way, stopping right at the halfway point. Telecom, our leader, still stays out front. Quite a commanding lead, as he has now started to grow that lead ahead of Irish. Was 20 seconds, fell down to about 15 seconds, and then is now growing back up to 16.5 seconds. And it is getting nice and sunny, so we are likely going to have a rapidly developing, rapidly drying track that will give us some nice laps. Fastest laps of the weekend should be coming up soon. And I'm into the pit lane. Ritzenflitze in the pit lane. Ritzenflitze, the teammate that Irish is probably going to be getting a lot of help from if he's going to be able to gain some positions. Marshall 88 with our first penalty of the evening. A 30-second stop and go. And there's no joker lap to turn around at the end of the GP circuit. You've got to go around a full lap and try and push on that lap, but those push laps after a penalty are some of the hardest laps that you can do in racing, as you're just fighting yourself, not very happy with what you had just done, and you've got to try and bring it around just to come into the pit lane and lose a ton of time. El Bambino comes into the pit lane, the Schwitzer Motorsport #3 driver. And who was that? Kai almost had a big moment coming out of Hudson back onto the Quiddelbacher Hoa. Bazzy Binks now trying to get past the falling Lucas in the Mercedes AMG GT3. Lucas has just been slowly losing positions, just bleeding positions. Was P3 at one point, very quickly moved up into P2, but then turned into P3, then P4, then P5, and now Fazzy Binks looking to demote Lucas down to P6. Fazzy with a bit of damage on that passenger door. Wonder if maybe he had a brush with the wall. El Bambino coming out of the pit lane. And that is good for Ritzenflitze. Flitza did decide to repair the damage on that BMW though, so there was a bit of a longer stop with that included. But Radioactive in the exclusive esports number 788 McLaren is currently the leading car who has come out of the pit lane. We've got a couple battles on track between Kai and Thrawn. Kai and Thrawn, two Schwitzer Motorsport half teammates, as they both race for Schwitzers, both wear the same uniform, but technically on different teams. They are running close to each other. The only current true Battle for position that we have, granted we still have half the field yet to come into the pit lane, over half the field. So we have only had 8 of our 19 come into the pit lane. This race quickly waning as we are now on the waning side of this race, past the halfway point, and there's a touch of rain coming in 30 minutes. And we'll watch that forecast, as that is going to make things interesting. It's a bit of a repeat of that 24 hours in hell Nordschleife race where it only started to rain right at the very end. And a light shower, not going to be the end of the world. What would be the end of the world is if that rain gets heavy, because heavy rain, or possibly even, torrential downpour, that may make it a bit more dangerous for those slick tires, and you ultimately decide, hey, I'm going to come in and put wet tires on just because I don't want to lose this car halfway through the last lap of the race and throw my race win away, throw my championship away, throw my team championship away. That's kind of the mentality that you're going to have if you're in one of those contentious positions coming into the closing stages of this race tonight. Go on board with Fazzy Banks. Absolutely awesome section of track here as we come out of Eschbach down into Brunchen. YouTube Corner, as it's known, if you're a Jimmy Broadbent viewer, that sand trap on the outside where quite many of a Volkswagen GTI have gone into. Down through the quick S's before we get to the jump of Flonskart. Dragging the brakes, Fazzy Banks keys the nose down. Now through the S's as we run towards Schraubentranz. Fazzy in a good position as Lucas does a wheelie down the hill. Now coming up into Schraubentranz, Fazzy in a great position to try and set up the slipstream overtake down the Dottinger. That rain still going at the end of this race. And something to think about, say we are less than 30 minutes left, and if it is still raining, you have to remember that we are going to be going on past that 0 second mark on the timer. Depending on where our leader comes through, we may have an extra 8 minutes tacked on to the end of this race, in which case that rain, if it persists on past the finish of the race, Telecom, our leader, comes into the pit lane. Go back with Fazzy Banks, who is trying to get past Lucas in the Mercedes. I think he's got it done. Irish also comes into the pit lane right behind. This is going to be a race-off pit lane. Fazzy gets the position taken away from Lucas. We'll see when they come into the pit lane. Likely going to stay out for just a moment. No, they're both going to race into the pit lane as well. Better hope that you get on the brakes nice and early. And Lucas right up onto the rear of the Ferrari of Fazzy Banks. Telecom is in, and Telecom's actually had a brush with the wall as well. Thron McCooney comes in, Alex MG comes in, and we are about 3 or 4 minutes into the rain shower that we have predicted in the next 30 minutes. So there is still a possibility of some good rain coming at the end of this race. It's going to be raining regardless, we know that. Telecom is out of the pit lane. Irish is rolling. We'll see what the time difference between the two will be. It's only a few seconds, and I believe Irish may have had a much better stop than Telecom, because it is not that 20 seconds that was projected, but we'll have to see when the Delta updates at Schwedenkreuz, or I guess technically after Arenberg. Sievert stayed out, and Kai also stayed out. Kai desperately trying to gather points for the Schwitzer Motorsport team. But a run like that through Ravenel is not going to be the way that you hold on to the lead. Very, very easy to make a mistake if you are having a bit of trouble there, but track transitions to fast for the first time, or one of the first times, as I think it's only gone has only gone fast once before, which was right before our previous light rain shower. And we are going to be a developing track for the next 25 minutes or so before that light rain starts. It looks to just be staying light rain to the very end. No torrential downpour, no flooding. At JB out of the pit lane. Fazzy Binks. And who is that? That is the 989 McLaren of Radioactive. And I believe Radioactive came in very, very early, so it's just slot in behind the teammate. That JB is ahead of the both of them. Then Fazzy Binks. Then Lucas, but I believe Radioactive right there before Lucas. Alex MG running right behind. Thron McCooney has actually lost a position there, I believe, as Sievert gets scored the leader coming out of Arenberg. And a bit of strategy to be played here. We've had nice and dry conditions for some time, but we had wet conditions for a good while. That does allow the tires to be saved. And while they have been driven almost an hour already, the wet track, wet conditions really helps as a preservative for those tires. And while they're not going to be at their top performance right now, they're going to be better than they would be at this point or if we were on a dry track all this time. And just an update on that forecast. Continuing light rain all the way up until 4 minutes left, and likely, from what it's looking like so far, will be 10, possibly 20-minute shower at the very end of this race. It is Telecom with Irish, who gained 6 seconds, over 6 seconds in the pit lane on Telecom. And now it is time for Irish to push. If he wants to take home the win in this race tonight and also secure the win for the Schwitzer Motorsport #1 team, which again, any XCL staff in the Twitch chat, if you would be able to start working on calculations for the Drivers and Team Championship, I would greatly appreciate it. Three-way fight here between Karpachev, Nico Lausch, and Andem. Nico Lausch had a lot of damage to repair. Andem right in that fight as well. And both of these very quick drivers trying to pass the BMW of Karpachev. again, we are going to be getting our fastest laps of the race here in this next 20 minutes or so. Should see optimum conditions, at least for a short moment before we get the next rain wave that will close out this race. Seems to be a light rain all the way to the end. At least that rain is not getting any worse. Andom almost lost it into miss, hit, miss with his 2 tires on the outside grass for quite some time. An uncleaner cross into the pit lane. And is that from an incident on track? I didn't see any yellow flags. Maybe a very, very hard incident. And an immediate entry into the pit lane. But that is going to take one car out of contention. We'll see if Uncleaner gets back rolling to maybe help the teammates. But as of right now, not looking good for Uncleaner. I believe that may have been a big shunt into the wall. Nico Lausch has made it past Karpachev, as I believe Karpachev made a mistake. He's right into the clutches of Andom as well. They come through Mutt Curve. Karpachev able to grow that gap a bit though. And still 3 drivers yet to come into the pit lane: Sievert, Kai, and Patro. And what do we have here is Kai. Patro right behind Kai. We may have a race between these two coming up. You cannot beat just the atmosphere, the environment, the feeling of the Nordschleife, simulated or real, as I have not been in real life. It is a place that I am going to go, though, as we have just confirmed that it's going to be light rain through the end of the timer as Sievert comes into the pit lane just ahead. We'll see if Kai follows suit. Yes, Kai comes into the pit lane. And Patro comes in right behind as well. Not going to be enough to hold Telecom at bay, as he is right behind before they even get to their pit box, and he's actually grown 2 seconds on the gap that Irish closed down to about 9 seconds at the pit lane. The 777 of El Bambino has also had an incident, and likely going to be a retirement there as well. Sievert comes out of the pit lane. We'll see where he is slot in. Does seem to be right behind the number 4 of Irish, which would be P4. Kai off the jacks, rolling out of the pit lane, with Patro right behind. Actually quite close behind. And who is around next? Actually going to be quite a ways back, as Kai right behind the number 999 of Alex MG, so likely going to slot in back to, I'd say, around P10 would be my assumption. or P9, as Petro is also going to move back. So P10 or P9, unsure which one exactly. I'm not too worried about doing that math right now. Got other things to focus on, like this battle here between Lucas and Radioactive. Lucas actually seems to have just gotten past Radioactive. And that rain is only going to last for a few minutes past the timer hitting 0. So it will rain just into the finish of this race, but that rain will go away right about the time that we should be seeing burnouts, depending on when our leader comes across the line. Side by side, door to door racing between Karpachev and Andem, as Andem is going to go the long way around the outside of Bielstein and gets it done. And up through the Advent kink, Andem will lock in P13. Patro with a big moment. Manages to hold on to it though. And Hatzenback will do that. Now on to the Quiddlebacker once again. And a bit of no man's land for these two, both Kai and Patro. Again, we'll see where they are officially scored in the timing. Is Irish just unable to hold on to the Ferrari of Telecom, who is likely going to take home the win in this race. It would be fitting. Telecom won the first race in this series. Sorry, hop back to Irish just a second. Looked like he was about to understeer off the track there, but ultimately did not. But Telecom won the opening race in this series at the Red Bull Ring. And it's looking right now like Telecom will close us out with the win here in the finale. He's got 25 minutes left to go and yellow flags, as Ritzenflitze in the pit lane, and I'm unsure of the official calculations with the team standings, but that is the Schwitzer Motorsport #1 teammate of the currently championship leading and second place running Ford Mustang Dark Horse GT3 of Irish. Also the number 155 of Karpachev. A bit of an off track there just past Eidenar Forest just before Metzigesfeld. But how is this going to affect the team standings? Does that potentially lock in the team championship win for the Schwitzer Motorsport #2 team? Again, I do need Clorpt, if you could maybe have somebody calculate the championship standings in terms of points, of whether or not, with the drop rounds and things, how the teams fare there. But that may be Irish losing out on the team championship win, and no double header. No double, he would be on the double podium, but not going to be on the top spot of the podium in two different championships as of right now, as we have 3 cars into the pit lane. And Ritzenflitze could go back out, but it's not going to be very easy to dig up a few more positions. Not going to be easy at all to try and score more points, as we do have our optimum track. We are going to start locking in our fastest laps of this race so far. And our fastest laps of the weekend as well. While things are calmed down a bit, we will take a look at those championship standings again. You can see the driver and team championship standings on the right-hand side. And if you are new tuning in, this is the XCLusive Pro Series here with Xbox Community League. No, it is not Xbox exclusive, it just was at one point. And then we got crossplay for multiple games such as this one, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and that has allowed us to include PlayStation as well. So if you are a console sim racer looking for somewhere to race, and if you want goals to strive towards, such as being invited to race in this XCLusive Pro Series, join the exclusive eSport, or the XCL, Xbox Community League Discord. You can also learn about exclusive benefits there. But plenty of races for free every day with stewarding, ratings, all things that are separate from what you have available on ACC. If you would like to get started racing with XCL, join the Discord. The link is in the Twitch chat, where you can also go to xboxcommunityleague.com. Side-by-side racing between Kai and Patro, as Patro trying to get a position away from Kai. And now that rain, as forecast, about to start here in about 10 minutes. No, Patro makes a mistake and into the wall, hard contact with that tire barrier. And Patro was about to have that done. Check on the suspension, it doesn't really seem to be 100% straight. That steering rack is a bit messed up, but with 20 minutes left in the race, 2 or 3 laps left, it's got to be enough. Patro will try and salvage whatever result that he can, but Thrawn McCooney smells blood in the water and wants to get past the number 97 Ferrari of Patro, and Patro with an injured car, it may be a bit easier than it would have been on the previous lap. Telecom still leading. Almost made a mistake there, 2 tires in the grass. It's a bit risky. I believe we are going to have this lap, 1 more lap, and then we would have 1 final lap after that. So 3 more laps to go, giving us about 25-26 minutes or so of racing left in this series. But Telecom with the dominant showing as of right now. Able to put it out front and stay out front, and we will see. Don't think there's really going to be anything in the way of Telecom bringing home the win here to close out the XCLusive Pro Series. Going very wide on the outside curve at Arenberg. And Irish likely going to be your championship winner. Again, those results are unofficial until the official announcements are made in the XCL Discord and on the website. But I do believe that it's likely going to be the Schwitzer Motorsport team number 2 that will bring home the victory in the team championship. And Patro has made a mistake. Thrawn has gone right on by and is actually closing up onto the number 23 fellow Schwitzer Motorsport driver of Kai. But the rain is coming sometime within the next 6 minutes or so. Yeah, my main concern is who is going to be the team championship. Which team is going to win that championship? Because that is where the confusion sits for me, because I don't know exactly which team will take that result. But Telecom with a dominant showing. Quite the gap to the second place driver of Irish. But again, we do have that quick rain shower coming here in the next few minutes. What has happened here? Nico Lausch with more drama, and is that a broken wing? Can't 100% tell, but it doesn't look like it's... That wing is broken on the back of the Aston Martin, and you can tell by the way that there is no downforce on the back of that car. It is not planted whatsoever. Nico Lausch has had a big off somewhere, and that Aston Martin has become very much of a handful to drive. Extremely unfortunate for Nico Lausch. Came into tonight with a possibility of taking home the championship, and just not good luck for the GRL Motorsport team, which they have some incredible pace between Nico Lausch and Alex MG, but what they lack is luck. And in racing, it does not all equate to skill, as Lady Luck loves the tango. And she definitely did not come to dance this time, as Nico goes around almost into the BMW of Karpachev. And very unfortunate for Nico Lausch with that broken wing, just has no downforce on the rear of the car. Rain should be coming any moment now and will persist on likely to the end of the race. Fazzy Binks ever so slowly closing in onto the Lamborghini of Sievert. There may be a swap of position there, and actually it seems to be closing up quite a bit as the rain has begun. Nico Lausch comes into the pit lane to repair. Still very unfortunate for Nico Lausch. Great qualifying, a great run in the race, but was just unable, just unlucky is really all it is. Just a little of an overstep here and an overstep there. And that's as quick as it goes. Patro also coming into the pit lane to repair. This Andom will fly on by, and quite a few cars that will essentially have their race ended at this point. And it does say that the rain is going to be increasing just a bit. Again, Fazzy Binks trying to catch the Lamborghini of Sievert for 4th position. And the track is going to be getting wetter. It's going to rain for the next 10 minutes. We got about 10.5 minutes left of this race. A big wiggle coming on to the Nordschleife from Fazzy Binks. Still running down the Lamborghini. And that gap is not 1.9 seconds like the timing board shows, but we will see what it gets updated to when they come through Arenberg this next time. And it's just going to be light rain from here to the end. But everybody is out there on slick tires. It may make things a bit interesting. You see the understeer there from Fazzy Binks coming out of Hatzenbach. Has Irish made a slight mistake? As Nat JB is actually within 10 seconds. Nat JB on the podium. It would be a great finish, great end to the season for the Turtle Team Ferrari driver. Back on this battle between Sievert and Fazzy Binks, Telecom has pulled a 30-second gap to Irish. Inching ever so much closer to the rear of that Lamborghini. Let's go on board with Fazzy here, but here we want to watch the steering wheel as on slick tires. And look at the amount of steering that we get compared to the amount of steering input Fazzy Binks is getting. A bit of counter steer there, a lot of counter steer to try and keep the steering wheel straight, trying to keep the car straight. Windshield wipers thoroughly on the track is damp, and it's going to say here in a second, hey, we may want wet tires, but it's too late for that. We're going to have to stay on these slicks and bring it home to the end. Fazzy Binks trying to run down the Lamborghini, who is just ahead coming into view there at Versifen, but you see the understeer in Versifen. Mix of downhill, camber, and damp conditions. The car just does not want to respond. Same thing for the left-hander of Breinscheid. Watch that curb. Very, very easy to lose the car on that curbing.